Hello, everyone, and welcome to SCORE Fairfield County's live webinar on Improv to Improve, creating meaningful connections with your customers. I'm Bob Hogan, the webinar coordinator and a business mentor here at SCORE Fairfield County. I'm going to be your host today, and our presenter is Seth Greenwald. More on Seth in just a minute, but just some brief information on SCORE. SCORE is a nonprofit national partner of the SBA, and locally here in SCORE Fairfield County, we have over 130 volunteers with a wide range of industry, process, and subject matter expertise. And we offer three primary value-added services that you can see on the screen. First of all, we offer one-to-one free counseling, and you can do that by video, telephone, email. And you can access that by going to our website, fairfieldcounty.score.org, and clicking on Request a Mentor, or you can use the bit.ly link that is shown on the screen. We also offer over 100 educational workshops and webinars throughout the year. And lastly, we offer extensive resources on our website, fairfieldcounty.score.org. Our next live webinar will be this Friday, September 17th at noon. And the topic is Key Fundamentals to Save Your Time, Energy, and Budget Money, with John Barr presenting. And again, you can find more specifics on our website, fairfieldcounty.score.org. If you're on our website, you can also access a large number of archived webinars on a wide range of topics that may be of interest to you. Just some logistics about today's event. We've set aside time for Q&A at the end of the presentation. So if you have a question, please use the Q&A button at any time. It's located on the lower part of your screen. We will end sharply at 1 o'clock. And the session is being recorded, and the link to the recording will be available again on our website within the next couple of days. It's now my pleasure to introduce our speaker today, Seth Greenwald. Seth is a best-selling author, keynote speaker, and popular public speaker and presentation coach for entrepreneurs and small business owners. Seth earned his engineering degree from Cooper Union and industrial design degree from Pratt Institute. He's the author of 3 books on public speaking and creative thinking. His most recent publication is An Engineer's Formula for Public Speaking Excellence. Seth, it's all yours.
Well, thank you very much, Bob. Hey, good afternoon, everybody. I'm Seth Greenwald, and welcome to my webinar. We have so much to cover today, so I'm going to just jump right in. Okay, here we go. So I was recently reading a research study that concluded that a typical goldfish has a attention span of 8 seconds. Now, that's not too much time to pique the curiosity of a goldfish. So I'm thinking maybe they should have hired a more interesting researcher to do the job. And similarly, the study goes on and says that humans have a 7-second attention span. That's 1 second less than a goldfish. Now, I think I understand the problem. Whereas the goldfish doesn't have a large facial expression, doesn't have the range of features we want, humans do. And that's lucky for us, right? Because as you're trying to connect with your customer at a networking event or at a party or at an elevator, you want to get some feedback on how you're doing. Now, if you're not connecting with your customer, you're going to get that kind of that goldfish stare, that But if you are connecting with your customer, you're going to get that, You see the difference in the eyebrow? I call it the eyebrow test. Going from flat eyebrow, to raised eyebrow. And today, I am an actual engineer. I've created an actual formula to help you create meaningful connections with your customers and to grow your business. So let's continue. Now, you see me, I don't see you, you hear me, I don't hear you. The only way we can communicate is by chat. That is not a seagull you saw just bouncing through your screen. That's a turn. So when you see that image, that will be your turn to participate. It's more of a workshop, an experimental workshop. We're going to use the chat function a lot. So open up your chat and tell me your name or where you are and what you do. So we'll take 30 seconds or so and just open the chat. Tell me who's here. Let's meet each other. create some connections. Hey, Daria. Budley, how you doing? Everyone from Connecticut? Stanford. Hey, Gigi. Love Stanford. Joanna. Hello, Maria. Deb. Long Island. It's far, far away. Connecticut. Used to have, hello. Elizabeth in Norwalk. I used to work in Norwalk. Mitchell, Fairfield, New Haven. Darien. Fantastic. Well, it's nice to meet everyone. I'm from Westchester, right over the border of Connecticut. I'm not afraid to go into your state. I do enjoy it. So what we're going to talk about is my new formula for making customer connections, improv for growing your business, another new formula for improv. That's 2 formulas in this in 1 hour, several group exercises that we'll chat more, and a little bit of humor mixed in. I am an engineer, but I'm not a stand-up comedian. Q&A, the last 10 minutes, and a contest. I'm always looking for feedback, and I have some gifts for you, and a contest. We'll go over that in like 50 minutes. So let's get going. So I'm an engineer. I break things down and I rebuild them in a better way. In fact, when I was 10 years old, I took a sick leave. I said, Mom, I don't feel good. I'm not going to school. She said, okay. She went to work. She left me alone. I snuck into her bedroom where it was a broken alarm clock. I took apart the alarm clock. I made sure I understood where all the pieces were. I didn't lose any pieces. I put together the alarm clock and it worked. And I'm so proud. I never told my parents that I did that. And that was the beginning of my engineering career. I enjoyed myself so much that I stayed home. But when I say break things down, I'm not talking about just physical things. I'm talking about complicated, complex processes like spontaneous human connections, right? That's what we're going to talk about today, how to create spontaneous human connections with a formula that I created. And engineers throughout civilization have been bridging the world, right? So here are 4 bridges that I've crossed. Maybe you know number 1, right? The new Tappan Zee Bridge, formerly the Mario Cuomo Bridge. Number 2 is the Golden Gate. Number 3 is the Hart Bridge in Dublin. And who can tell me what number 4 is? That's a difficult one. Anyone in the chat? Tell me what number 4 bridge is. Give you a few seconds. Beautiful bridge. It's not in the United States. It's in Europe. Close, Maria. London Bridge, a little further to the east. Any other tower, right? Another country used to be, yes, Catherine, Budapest, right? That's the chain bridge. It connects Buda to Pest. Beautiful. One of my favorite bridges in all the world. So congratulations, Catherine. All right. It's all about bridges. So a little bit about me. I am an actual engineer. I work for the Army Corps of Engineers, and we fix up the beaches that were ravaged by Hurricane Sandy and Hurricane Ida and Hurricane Katrina, mostly on the Long Island South Shore and New Jersey East Coast is my area. And we also do work at the West Point and other Army installations. We build facilities, design and build buildings. But I'm also an entrepreneur. I've always had this entrepreneur streak. I've written 3 books on my commute into the city. I give seminars all around the country to mostly engineers and architects and project managers. I created a course called Page to Stage. That's a public speaking course. And I'm creating another course right now based on this very topic, spontaneous human connections. And I had a greeting card business back in the 90s, right before the internet. I was the founder and I was the illustrator. I'm creative, but I'm also an entrepreneur. I had to, back then, before the internet, I had to make it profitable. So I had to print 10,000 cards. Where to put them? I put them into my mother-in-law's basement and she became my shipping department. So where there's a will, there's a way. And there I am smiling, helping to cure the world's woes one laugh at a time. Still trying to do that. All right, are you ready for the new formula? Here we go, we just should jump right in. But before I give you my formula, engineers love formulas, right? Throughout the world, there's been great formulas. Einstein's E equals mc squared, energy equals mass times the speed of light. It just means that mass and energy are convertible. You can't get rid of mass, it turns into energy. It's the basis of nuclear energy. Golden ratio, I don't know if anyone heard of the golden ratio. It was discovered by Euclid, a Greek mathematician in 300 BC, and it just is all over it. It's what we use for beautiful architecture, but you can also find it in nature. It's the proportion, it's 1.6 to 1. It's the proportion of one thing to another. And you find it all over in flowers and clouds, in buildings, in art. Formula, force equals mass times acceleration, that's Newton, and that's the basis of all transportation. So formulas are fantastic. I'm an engineer, I love formulas. But to get it down to a different level, you might know a formula as a recipe. A formula is simply a bunch of ingredients, right? Plus the instructions how to put together those ingredients in the right way, and you get a beautiful product, a beautiful, tasty carrot cake, one of my favorites. So recipes and formulas are very similar. You can think about them and vice versa. It's not scary. Formulas are not scary. I use Excel, it's my favorite software. I use it for budgets, I use it for scheduling. It has that sum feature, you know, you add this and this and you get that. So I'm thinking one day when I'm sitting in my cubicle, if Excel is so good at budgeting and scheduling, why can't I use a formula for public speaking? You can, so I did. So I wrote a book called An Engineer's Formula for Public Speaking Excellence. And in that book, I created the formula. Are you ready for the formula? Here we go. So to break it down, public speaking excellence, half is writing the speech, half is on the stage. The actual formula is public speaking excellence equals 5 elements. It has 5 elements. The first element is prep, right? Arm yourself. That's an acronym. I'll use a lot of acronyms because I'm an engineer, but ARM stands for know your audience, know your room, know your material. If you prepare well, you're golden. 15% is your message. What is your point? What are you talking about? You can't just ramble on. You need a point and you need it to run throughout the structure of your speech. The speech is a very organized vehicle to get your message across to your audience. Authenticity. Why should anyone listen to you? Who are you as a speaker? Who's your authentic speaking self? This is what we go over in my course. And here in this workshop, we're going to talk about connection. How do you connect with your audience? It's so important. If you don't connect with your audience, you might as well just email them. What's the point of speaking if you can't connect? So that's what we're going to talk about today, how to connect with your audience. All right. But for entrepreneurs, as yourselves and small business owners, you know that your customer is the key. It's the link between you and your business. If you don't have any customers, you break the link. You don't have any business. So the customer is the key. Okay. So are you ready for the formula? I know you are, but hold on. Let's do a little more chatting before I tell you the secret. What do you do? Tell me your secret. What do you do to connect with your customers? Now, when I say customers, it can be a prospective customer that you're trying to get as a client, as a customer, or it could be someone you already work with. So let's just chat. Give me. How do you connect with your customers? Listen to them. Absolutely. Exactly. Listen actively. Think of their needs, right? Find common ground. Absolutely. Remember what they said last time. Help them. Right? It seems pretty obvious. Thank you. Thank you. Ask questions. Exactly. All right. We're going to put all your helpful hints into my formula. And we're going to show you. Here it is. Here is the formula. All right. I'm done. I'm going home. There's the formula. No, I'm only joking. All right. Let's explain what all those letters mean. So MCC equals C1 plus C2 to the power of D. MCC is meaningful customer connection. That's what the result we want. It equals C1, which is co-location, plus C2, which is collaboration, raised to the power of D. What the heck is D? That's what we're going to define, hint, hint, very soon. But let's start off with our meaningful customer connection. What does that mean when we were throwing around these words, but what does that actually mean? Well, Peter Drucker, a management guru, he was originally from Vienna. He just passed away a few years ago, but he was he moved to America. He was America's foremost management consultant. He wrote 33 books. And one of his books was called Practice of Management, where he said that the success of any business is not about the internal structure or the policies or procedures that the internal corporation executives create. It's about the customer. It's about how you can facilitate your managers and your people who work for you to satisfy the customer's need. So his famous line is, the purpose of business is to create and keep a customer. And it's all about customer relations. It's all about getting a customer. It's all about keeping a customer. All right, meaningful. It's obvious, something important, something useful, something significant, something worthwhile. But what does it mean in the context of networking, right? So your networking efforts with a prospective customer is meaningful if your efforts resulted in creating a connection, a rapport leading to a future relationship with your customer. And remember, people do business with people they know, like, and trust. You've heard of that. People do business with the people they know, like, and trust, meaning treat your customers as humans, right? Treat them as, customers, it's just a word. Treat them as human. Try to create that spontaneous human connection. Okay. So define, that's the D of the formula, right? Raised to the power of D. So what is that? Got to know who your customer is, got to know what they do, got to know where they hang out, and got to know what gets them up in the morning. What is their mission? How are you going to help them? You got to know all this because your customer is not everybody, right? From afar, from a 10,000 point view, everyone looks the same. But they're not, right? And anyway, you don't have enough time to solve everyone's problems. So you have to focus, get up close and personal, be specific and focus on your niche, right? It's so important to define who your customer is. It could be a few different types of customers, but when you're in that networking environment, you have to know who is your customer. I have a quick story for you about going to a beach in north of Tel Aviv in Israel called Caesarea. And I'm looking down at the beach. It's all rocks. It looks like a beach full of nothing. But then I see a bunch of people getting very close to the rocks. So I get very close to the rocks. And you know what? There were rocks, but a lot of the rocks were ancient Roman shards of glass, beautiful greens and blues. And if I didn't get close, I would have never realized the gift that was there. So get close to your customer. Every customer is different. Every customer is dealing with a different problem. All right, get close. Define. All right, here's a critical exercise we're going to do. You may have done this already, but it's called a customer statement, a value statement, a mission statement. So in the chat or in a piece of paper, you can certainly share it. but this is key in terms of defining who your customer is. So what I want you to do is type this into the chat. I help. Who is your target customer? Who do you help? Who's your target customer? What are you doing for them? How are you helping them? Are you developing what new skill are you helping them with? How are you helping them to shift their mindset? What's the problem that you're helping them with? All right, or improving their performance. So let's take 30 seconds or so just to think about this. It helps to write it down. If you want to share it, by all means, put it in the chat. This helps define everything about your business. You may know it already in this form, you may not, so give it a shot. Good. Daria, help clients distinguish themselves in the college application process, right? Distinguish. Okay, think about how to define those clients. Who are those clients? Anyone else? Mitch, solving a problem or improving. It's either or. It's either or. What do you do? What is the problem that you are solving for them? Or how are you improving their performance? Yes, if you have your hand raised, put it in the Q&A, and we're going to get to it later on. All right, so let's continue. Thank you for your participation in this. All right, so remember the formula. My formula had 2 C's. There might be a third C. It's out of the scope of this 1 hour webinar, but that third C might be to transform the customer statement, which you just did a few seconds ago, into a catchy and compelling opening line, right? You heard about the elevator pitch where you have 30 seconds. Well, and you only have 7 seconds to get the attention of your prospective customer. So make the opening line catchy and compelling. Start it with an intriguing fact or a provocative question or a surprising statement. I like to, I use unique perspective a lot. And pass the raised eyebrow test. This is what you want to do. You want to go from to we want to get their attention. We want to pique their interest. Now, if we had a few more hours, we can go into this, but if you go to entrepreneur.com, their website, they have a show called Entrepreneur Elevator Pitch, where an entrepreneur gets 60 seconds to go in the elevator. The panelists, the venture capitalists and investors are listening to his pitch. And if the investors like his pitch, they open the door and let him pitch to them in the boardroom. If they don't, he goes back down to the lobby. So it's an interesting show. You can see it on Facebook. You can see it on entrepreneur.com website. It's really a lot of fun to craft your vision statement into a compelling elevator pitch. And stay with me. We'll go on. We'll get into that at a future date at another webinar. The third C. All right, but the first C is co-location. All right, and that's simply a fancy way of saying everything happens here and now. All right, everything happens here and now. You ever hear of be here now? I'm an engineer. I like to analyze. I like to think about what I could have done. I like to think what I'm going to do. I like to plan. I like to criticize. But that's not where your customer is. Your customer is now. Everything is now. So I like to think about it as walking on the cutting edge of time. Stay in time. One of the most important things I can teach you. It seems obvious, but you just don't want to analyze. You have to keep up with the flow of time. That's huge. And everything is here. Everything is in here now. Your customer, your conversation, your connection, and you. There's nothing that doesn't exist right now. Now, you can think of now as a series of moments. Now. It's so critical. So your challenge is, you can walk on the edge of time, or you're going to retreat into your head. If you retreat into your head, there's not going to be any connection with your prospective customer. So be in the moment. That's the only place that you can be, and that's the only place you want to be. It's a lot about mindfulness, isn't it? Mindfulness is a state of focusing yourself on the present moment and just accepting what's going on, your feelings, your thoughts, your bodily sensations. Your body knows that it's in time, it's here, but your mind doesn't necessarily. So you have to sync up your mind with your body in order to stay on the cutting edge, stay with your customer. And the strategic gap is that you don't want to react to your customer, you want to respond. You want to engineer a positive outcome. So you have to stay in time and meaningful connection with your customer. Now, mindfulness helps you lengthen the pause between listening and speaking, right? Between reacting and responding. So if you start to get good with mindfulness, you can create a strategic gap between what you're hearing and how you're responding, because you just don't want to react and blurt out the typical thing, because it's not going to engineer what you want. You're not going to get what you want, which is a meaningful connection with your customer. That is the outcome. So I recommend mindfulness. What is mindfulness? How do you do that? Days and days of workshops can be done on this, but quick mindfulness techniques. Stop what you're thinking about and focus on your breathing. There's something called 4-4-4 in the military, where if someone's nervous, in order to relax, all you do is inhale for 4 seconds. You hold it for 4 seconds, you hold your breath, and then you exhale for 4 seconds. Easy, 12 seconds. Feel more relaxed in the moment. Now the key, observe your thoughts without judgment, right? Without judgment is the key. Don't judge your thoughts, just let them go. Stay in time. Close your eyes, notice your bodily sensations. Stop thinking and make eye contact with your, that seems obvious. You gotta, to have a connection, you gotta look at your, the person you're speaking to. A lot of people forget, especially engineers, that, quick joke about engineers. What's the difference between an introverted engineer and an extroverted engineer? An introverted engineer, when he speaks to you, looks at his shoes. An extroverted engineer, when he speaks to you, looks at your shoes. So I told you I wasn't a comedian. And do anything to get out of your head. Get into time. Get into the cutting edge of time. Anything. And into the moment. You can think about time as a series of now moments strung together. And you can apply mindfulness to any activity you choose. What activity shall we choose now? It's only one. It's writing. So let's do another exercise. It's called free writing. This is going to give you a little taste of what mindfulness is all about. So get out the chat, and here's the rules of free writing. So much to do, so much stuff to go over with you. All right, you are not allowed to stop writing, meaning you're always going forwards in time. You don't edit your thoughts, you don't cross out your thoughts, you don't reread your writing. You don't think about or analyze your ideas, you just let them out. You're receptive, you're just letting out the ideas that come to you. Don't be concerned with grammar, punctuation, or writing style. This is called free writing. This is not called creative writing or editorial writing. This is called free writing. So is everyone ready for what they're going to write about? Everyone get ready. Here we go. This is what you can tell me. Hold on. It's called story time. All right, you're going to write whatever comes to your mind after I tell you the sentence. It's just create a story. It's just write. I just want you to feel what mindfulness is all about, what free writing is all about. So once upon a time, I was sitting next to a prospective customer and overheard him talking about his business. So I decided to go for it. You got 30 seconds. Just link one idea to the other. Don't analyze. It doesn't make any, that's not the point of this exercise. I'll shut up now so you can concentrate. And good, listen for strategy, but keep on, link one idea to another. You know, link what comes to mind after you say, listen for strategies. Don't edit it. What's the next idea that comes to mind? And the fun part is it doesn't have to make any sense. And this would be more fun if we were, of course, live together in a room. But there's no other choice but chatting. So in any case, you can do this at home where you can do free writing and and if you do it for, it doesn't take too long before you just start going into a beta brainwave type of thing. It's not, it just feels different. It just feels like you're literally effortlessly moving along with the moment. That's the whole point of this. There you go, Doug. All these ideas are right. For this exercise, everything you come up with is right. And that's how I write. It's actually how I write a lot of my articles. I just start with free writing, and then I just keep on going, and then I edit it. Right? I get the ideas out, and then I go back and edit it. I don't edit it and write at the same time. That's another webinar that I did in San Francisco to writers. Okay, the second element, or actually a third element after define and co-location, is collaboration, right? A lot of you already told me that's a helpful hint. But what really is collaboration? All right, so a lot of times we're just sitting and we're talking and we're thinking about the styles and we're talking about ourselves. So do you mind if I talk about myself for a while? And he says, yeah, no problem. Just tell me when it's my turn. So we all enjoy talking about ourselves, but is that a really connection? Not really, right? Not really. Kind of breaks connection. So what is collaboration? It's the act of working with someone, your customer, to create something together, some meaningful connection. All right, so you have to, the whole key here is the ego. I, me, I want to win. It's about, there's only one right way and it's my way. You got to kind of move from ego to we-go, right? Ego to we-go. And how you do that is you let go. So you go from ego to we-go, you let go. And what does that mean? You're building something together, right? With your communication partner, with your customer. You're building it together. You're not trying to get anything across. You're just building. You don't know where it's going to end up. You don't know where you're going to end up. But if you want to go fast, you go alone. If you want to go far, you go together. What I call this is the B.I.T mindset, build it together mindset. You're building conversation together with your customer. You're building connection together. You're building a future relationship, all with your customer. And just a quick story about how this worked in my life. Back when I was in 10th grade in high school, I was on the junior varsity cross-country team, XC cross-country team. And I was a sprinter. I was just a 220-yard sprinter. I didn't know how to go miles and miles up hills. We're running in Van Calton Park in the Bronx, and there was something called Cardiac Hill. And I said, I'm not doing this. A few friends from the varsity team said, yes, you are. They put me in the middle of their pack. Remember, I was only junior varsity. This was my first meet. The varsity team put me together in the middle of their pack, and they did not let me leave their pack until the end of the race. I came in first in the junior varsity, and I even beat a few varsity runners. So that is a real life example of, if you want to go far, go together. All right. It's about us. It's always about us. It's not about me or you. It's about us. It's about we go. But what does this mean? What are the tools for collaboration? How do we do this? We do this with improvisation. Looks fun, right? You ever go to a comedy club and try improvisation? It's terrifying, isn't it? If you have done, but that's not what I'm talking about. I am talking about improvisation for business. It's not about being funny. It can be fun. You can have some serious fun with it. What improv for business is a highly collaborative, build it together communication tool to create meaningful customer connections. Now, what does it mean? What is improv? We're not going to do improv here. That's out of the scope of this webinar. But I can tell you that improv always starts with yes, and the actual words yes, and. Yes always comes first. It's all about listening. A lot of you told me about that. It's about listening. It's not about interrupting. It's about accepting what's spoken. Now, accepting doesn't mean that you agree. It just means that you're accepting the base reality of whatever your customer has said to you. Doesn't mean you agree. It just means that it's valid, whatever they say. And it's all about getting out of your head and into the moment. What is and? Always follows yes. You want to listen first and then speak, right? You don't want to speak first and then listen. You want to respond in kind and tone. You want to build on what was said, right? You don't want to make your partner do all the work. You want to contribute. So you're listening and then you build on what he's saying. You accept what he's saying and then you build on it. And of course, it's not about being right or wrong. It's about building a conversation, building a connection together. So this is what it looks like in pictorial form. First person, your customer offers an idea. You accept the idea and build on it with a yes and. He offers a yes and back, and then you're back and forth. It's an exchange of ideas. You're creating something together. You're maintaining your build together mindset throughout the conversation. That's the key. But what you don't want to do is if your partner offers you an idea and you ignore or reject it, you don't want to say no, but, yes, but, no, and. He'll get confused, off the track. He doesn't know where he is in this conversation. So you want to go on a journey of discovery with your partner. You don't necessarily know. It's kind of like a quest. You don't know where you're going to end up. Okay. Now, there are levels of yes, listening. It's all about listening, which you told me. There's no yes, where you're completely not listening at all and you're just thinking about something completely different. You're not in the moment. There's maybe yes. You're kind of listening, but you're kind of wanting to win the argument. You're thinking they're wrong. You're not really listening to what they're saying. You're not accepting their reality. And of course, there's all in yes. That's the key. So how do you do that? When you clear your mind, again, taking a deep breath, focus on being present, making eye contact, remaining open to all ideas. And it is about, like you said, it is about listening. It's being open, it's being receptive. Listening is about the yin and yang, right? In Taoism. Listen is about being receptive. It's about, which one is it? Yin or yang? It's one of them. It's about the receptive energy versus the active energy. Listening is. More math, 1 + 1 is 2, right? You're having a conversation, you're speaking, your partner's speaking, but no. It's a third thing. It's a collaboration, it's synergistic. What you're saying is melding together into a entity, into a conversation, right? It's a third, it's very synergistic. And remember, people know, like, and trust. They want to do business with people they know, like, and trust. So how do you put this to practice? Right? So you find the common ground. Now, in order to establish the basis of trusting a relationship with your customer. So you start with creating synergy at your initial meeting with your customer, whether it's a networking meeting, an elevator, a party. And you use improv communication to discover topics of mutual interest for you and your customer. All right. All right, so this is a good formula. How to remember all this, what improv for business really is. It's A plus B equals CC. What does that mean? Accept and build for customer connection. Now, so improv is easy as A, B, CC. So accept what they're saying and build on it. All right. So let's do a final group exercise. How are we doing? All right, we're doing good timing. All right, so this is an exercise that I don't want you to do now, but this is the exercise that you can win prizes later. And I'm going to explain what I'm talking about. So you're in a networking event with a prospective customer. His name is Peter. Pull it out of my hat. And he says to you, "Hi, I'm Peter, a venture capitalist. I just moved into town and I'm looking for an energetic entrepreneur to work with as soon as possible. So what do you say? What are you going to respond? How are you going to respond in the ABCC manner? I'm not asking you to do this now. I'm just asking you to think about this for the contest that I have. You can buy, you can get wonderful gifts. All right, so it shouldn't be more than 7 seconds because you only have 7 seconds to pique their curiosity, or 18 words. Keep it short. You got to pass your own raised eyebrow test. Now, you don't want to go, you want to go, you want them to go, all right, you got to write it down for a chance to win. So don't do it now, but just let's think about it for 30 seconds. If you want to take a screen capture of this and you want to enter the contest, please do. I'm going to tell you what the contest is all about in a few seconds. Yeah. All right. Okay, so everyone has an idea of what they would say to Peter, how they would respond with yes and, with improv in mind, with B.I.T mindset. All right, so what I want you to do is send your response to this website. This is simply a questionnaire, for feedback questionnaire. I always want to improve my presentations. So on that questionnaire, I ask you questions about how I can improve, how you like my presentation. But the key is, for you, is that you can win prizes for the best response. Now, all responders do get prizes. They get my flow chart, which I created, a flow chart for meaningful customer connections. You know, I am an engineer, so we need a process. So I created a flow chart, and anyone who sends in their response to this website, this survey, gets my flow chart and gets a news memo, which is my monthly newsletter, all about customer connections, improv, and public speaking. Now, top 5 responses, whoever passes my IBAR test gets, in addition, my free ebook, right? My Engineer's Formula for Public Speaking Excellence, and a 30-minute discovery call with me, where we can talk about this a little more. This is fascinating stuff. I want to talk to you about it. So what I want to do to make it easy is simply, hold on, I'm going to put this in the chat. I'm going to put this in the chat. All right. See, and it's a link. So if you click on that link, if you want to be part of this survey, part of this contest, send your response no later than tomorrow to this website. You have a chance to win my book, flowchart, newsletter, and a discovery call with me. So okay. Hope to hear from you very soon. So look at the time. Says it is time to answer some questions. All right, so back to Bob.
Thanks, Steph. We will now use the remaining time for questions and answers. If I could ask you to use the Q&A button at the bottom of your screen, and we'll take as many as we can until the top of the hour. And again, it would be better if you use the Q&A button and not the chat feature for those. And maybe we'll just hang on for a minute here, Seth, give people a chance to submit their questions.
Absolutely.
We just while we're waiting for while we're waiting for the first question here, there was a request of will the slides be available. As I mentioned at the beginning of the webinar is being recorded, and you can watch the recording, which will have the slides and Seth's commentary on our website, fairfieldcounty.score.org, and it'll be on demand. It should be up within the next 24 to 48 hours. Our first question is from Barb, Seth, and she said, can you briefly review the ABCC formula again?
Sure, I would love to. ABCC, it's an improv, right? Improv is as easy as ABCC. What does ABCC stand for? It stands for accept and build for customer connection. So A is accept, meaning you're not agreeing with what your customer is saying to you, you're just accepting it. Meaning you're not trying to debate, you're trying to collaborate. You're not trying to agree, you're trying to accept. So that's the whole key of improv, isn't it? To stay in the moment with your communication partner. It's about accepting whatever comes up, whatever they say. It's about being receptive. Okay, it's not being about judgmental. It's not being critical. It's about being receptive to whatever they say and accepting it, so that you can build upon whatever they're accepting in order to create a connection, in order to collaborate, in order to grow your business.
Yeah, that's great. Our next question is from Catherine. Seth, how do you connect without sounding too salesy?
Yeah, no, that's a great question, because yeah, I was just writing an article about, has anyone ever asked you to do a finely crafted 30-second elevator pitch? Does that really help you connect with someone new? It's not very natural, right? To come up and just boom, 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 boom. I'm Seth, I'm an engineer. They don't want to hear it. They only care about themselves. They want to hear what's in it for me, right? What's in it for me. So what you want to do is think about ways, like if you were in a hallway and you see someone coming, how would you respond? How would you say hi? It's something, it's just natural. It just comes out natural, but it needs to be memorable. So it needs to be natural and memorable, but it shouldn't be a crafted elevator pitch. It should be more spontaneous. It should be something that's just hits them in the gut, right? Just hits them in the gut as opposed to in the head. Sales, when you're a salesman or a saleswoman, you prepare too much, right? So you just have to be more natural. And improv is one way to be less salesy and more natural, because you're listening to what's being said as opposed to trying to sell, right? As opposed to trying to persuade your partner to buy something, right? To do something. So don't worry about persuading. That's later. You want to open the door. I just came up with this. Hold on. You don't want to close the deal. You want to open the door to future relationship, right? So at your first meeting, you don't want to try to close the deal. You want to open the door to a future relationship. So I hope that answered your question.
Okay, that's great. Next one is from Doug. Doug's question is, when does inquisitive questioning become intrusive, realizing it is a personal variable amongst clients?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. When does inquisitive questioning become intrusive? So again, I love asking questions because the assumption is that people want to talk about themselves. So I let them talk, but certainly it does become intrusive when you don't, when you're trying to, again, when you're trying to sell, when you have a certain package you're trying to sell, right? When you're not listening to what they're actually saying, because it's true. Everyone has a different perspective. Everyone sees the world from their own perspective. And that's why you want to accept whatever the person is telling you. You're not trying to sell them on the way you see the world, not trying to sell them on your philosophy. You're trying to understand what they're saying so that you can create a synergy with them. It's being receptive, it's being open. It's not about giving, it's about taking, it's about accepting. So it's a good question. It's something that one answer does not fit all. You just have to deal with whoever you're dealing with in the moment, because every client is different. And yeah, I hope that helped.
Okay, I think that's all we have right now. Just a reminder, we still do have a few minutes left. If you have more questions, please feel free to put it into the Q&A. Seth, maybe just I think one that's, while we're waiting, one that's on some people's mind, and I realize your formula, the first step is you want to agree. What do you do if a client or a customer actually says something that you can't possibly agree with, and how do you manage those situations?
Yeah, thanks, Bob, for reminding me what you shouldn't do, right? I know it's agree and accept are very different concepts. So try to accept. The difference between acceptance and agreeing is that agreeing is 100%, yes, I agree with what you're saying, and I agree with what you're saying. It's not something that you want to get into, because then you're in a corner, right? If you accept what they're saying without necessarily agreeing, then it opens up a space for you to give your point of view, to build on what they're saying. So as opposed to agreeing or disagreeing, right? It's two ends of the dichotomous spectrum, right? Agreeing, you don't want to agree, you don't want to, nor do you want to disagree. You just want to accept. And when you accept, it allows you to stay in the moment with your communication partner, with your customer, as opposed to your mind starting to think, is that right? Is that wrong? How do I respond to that? So it's kind of like you more want to let it wash over you. It gets into a lot about mindfulness and receptivity. A lot of people have trouble with the concept of accepting, because a lot of people like to be in control of the conversation, right? They're a little uncomfortable with letting the conversation flow and not knowing where it's going necessarily until you start to get there. So it's kind of like a, kind of loose. And that's where spontaneity comes in, and impromptu speaking, which is key to all this. Not preparing too much, not preparing a speech, just being in the moment and just letting it flow.
That's great. I think that's an important distinction between agreeing and accepting. Just when you're talking about spontaneity and getting back to your comment earlier on elevator speeches, really the question is if you only have 7 seconds to connect or engage, how do you not have a pre-canned elevator speech if you've only got those 7 seconds?
I know. That's what I'm working on in my next online course called Improv to Improve. You have the 7 seconds. It's like a teaser. As opposed to a 30-second elevator pitch. It's a 7-second teaser, and it's a way to get that pass that eyebrow test, right? So it's not prepared per se, but it's responding to what your partner's saying. You always want to try to have them talk first. That's the difference between an elevator pitch where you're actually trying to persuade someone to do something versus a opening line of getting their attention. Because it's not just it just opens the door to more conversation. So it just brings them in. So think of it as a teaser as opposed to an elevator pitch.
Okay, I think that's a good way to think of it. Unfortunately, that is all the time we have questions for. And just a reminder to everyone that the webinar is recorded and the materials will be available on our website, fairfieldcounty.score.org, within the next 24 to 48 hours. And our next live webinar is this Friday, September 17th at noon. And the topic is Key Fundamentals to Save Your Time, Energy, and Budget Money, with John Barr presenting. And again, if you'd like to take advantage of free individual counseling, you can visit our website and click on Request a Mentor, or use the bit.ly link that you saw on the screen at the beginning of the webinar. And on behalf of SCORE, I'd like to thank everyone for attending our live webinar today, but a particularly big thank you to Seth Greenwald for presenting. So stay well, everyone, and have a great day.